Good evening, I am Dr. Oculus, and today I've just played a game called Monster Reapers VR. Now I want to give the devs a shout out for letting me try this game before it is released. It comes out on the 30th of October, so when you see this, you will actually already be able to buy it. Now, the reason that I am sat here talking to you because I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, and that is that I'm going to review the game. Normally I do gameplay and that's about it. However, I feel like I need to provide feedback around this game. Now, the game is listed as an early access game, so bear that in mind. This game is early access, and scrolling through the Steam page of the game, they do actually give the early access roadmap, which, I mean, even as soon as December, they list new enemies, new bosses, new buffs, new weapons, and new rooms. My first impression was that, I mean, it may well be down to me and my Steam, maybe that there is an initial setup process, whereas my system was... Well, I didn't have access to the Steam menu to actually be able to grab hold of, to change any location settings. When I reset myself in the Oculus store, like the gun was miles away, I couldn't get access to it. So I ended up skipping that first section. By skipping the first section, I was then left with the blinders on, which, as a VR veteran, it's not great, especially when the blinders are here. Like, if this is blinded, fair enough, but when the blinders are in the middle of your view, that's not good. The snap turning just didn't work. 9 times out of 10 I found myself pressing the stick 4 or 5 times to get it to turn once. And so that generally didn't work. However, then I died, got into the main hallway, was able to go into the options. Smooth turning, infinitely better. I was able to turn off the blinders, which was fantastic, and then head back into the game for my first real playthrough. Now, that's when things got fun. I really enjoyed it. When I first started playing the game, you know, you're going out, you're learning the ropes, you're getting the enemies out and getting the gold, and the thought of getting new equipment and getting new better things and being able to go back into the game and do better. Very enticing. Get wrecked. Hey, I killed him. Oh, I'm getting attacked. Now you are mine. Nice. So, this is pretty cool. So, the kind of driving for you. Batman's turned up. Where are you? I hear you laughing, you little sticks. Second playthrough went okay. Didn't quite make it to a boss. I died. Third playthrough, got to a boss. And the boss was basically an exceptionally large version of the smaller enemy, which was fair enough. So that happened, went to level 2, got to the boss pretty quickly. So the levels, I believe they are procedurally generated. However, I did instantly start to notice that there's not a great deal of variation in the rooms. There's about 4 different types. There's the mansion staircase, there's the one with the stairs at the back, there's the one with just general books down the middle, and I feel like there's one more that I'm forgetting. The point is, there's not a great deal of variation in rooms, which, as I said earlier, the roadmap does say, come December, they're going to put new enemies, bosses, buffs, weapons, and rooms. January, they're going to add the Forbidden Temple, new enemies, bosses, buffs, weapons, and rooms. And they're going to keep doing that February, March, and then spring 2020, there's they're expecting to launch where they're going to have multiplayer as well, and new bosses, weapons, rooms, and more. So maybe we will revisit things come April time when the game fully launches, when we go in for a checkup. But at the minute, there is very little variation in gameplay. There's very little variation in enemies. There's very little variation in the rooms themselves, and the bosses are just exceptionally large versions of the existing enemy, which also led me to another problem, because the original, you've basically got Ghost with Fireball, Ghost with Mace, and then Bat. Ghost with Mace, in order to get them to appear, you have to get very close. The problem is when you are that close, you are then within range of just instant damage, which there's no real skill involved. It's a case of you just shoot each other until one of you dies and you pray it's him. That's all you can do. But then he splits into two more, you're in the same boat for two more of them, and then you can get out. Putting the light on them did very little to nothing. 9 times out of 10 I was shooting them with the light on, it wasn't even damaging the boss. So that definitely needs a tweak. The option to run would be fantastic, and I feel like because I was playing in Oculus but on Steam, that it launched it in sort of like an Oculus version of the world. So I didn't get access to any of the Steam menu or anything like that, which was rather annoying at times. There is no way of getting to a menu, you basically just have to die. So that needs some work as well. There were general glitches around the game, which it's early access, I suppose you're going to see that. It's like they had a game in mind, but they haven't been able to execute it yet. It's out in early access. I mean, let's face it, if you're ever going to release a ghost hunting game when you've got Spectro that's just come out, which has probably put a lot of like pressure onto the developer, and then you've got Luigi's Mansion coming out on the same day on the Switch, so it's the time of year to release this kind of thing. You don't release a ghost game at Christmas. You release it in October. It makes complete sense. But I feel like it could have benefited if they released it in January when they've got a couple of more enemies and bosses and buffs and things. The buffs, which actually, while I'm on the subject, so I would go into a room, I would open a treasure chest, and you would get a buff that would do armor piercing. Doesn't appear to do anything. I don't know if there's anything that has armor. There was one that made the bullets bounce. That was fine, you could see that. And others, I couldn't read them at all. They just merged with other text and I had no idea what happened. They didn't really appear to do anything. I went out into the main menu and I upgraded my gun, and I will go back and check the footage and either edit this bit out or I'll leave it in if it's true, but I'm pretty sure when I was doing 45 damage the ghosts took 4 hits to kill. When I was doing 70 damage the ghost took 4 hits to kill. Now maths says that that is 180 for the 45 damage. It's 40, 80, 60, 70, 80. Yeah, 180 damage. Or 70 by 4, which you are looking at 70, 140. So you're looking at 280. So there's 100 damage difference. And yet you was getting the same effect. Doesn't really make a great deal of sense. Don't know if the game was scaling up, but if that's the case, what's the point in upgrading in the first place? There isn't. So that was also something else that I noticed. Ultimately, I enjoyed the game until I didn't enjoy the game. Eventually, it just became a senseless grind, and at this point in time, I cannot recommend the game. As I say, we can look at revisiting the game in the coming months once the early access roadmap is more apparent. Hopefully the devs are able to iron out these problems quickly and that they can get back to bringing you the game that they envisioned releasing. Because no dev sets out and just like, I'm going to make a shit game and then I'm going to release it. Actually, no, I've seen some games on Steam where that is actually probably what they did. But this is not the case. They are definitely trying to make something special, and for the first 20-ish minutes it was something special, but the longer I played it the less and less special it became. So hopefully it will become something, but at this point in time I cannot and do not recommend that you purchase it. Thank you very much for watching. If you do like this, if you want to see me do more things where I just basically talk to camera with a little bit of gameplay, let you know my feelings about it, by all means let me know in the comments. But without further ado, the Doctor is out.